live. Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube, not my YouTube, wow. Welcome to my Instagram, welcome to my Instagram live. Today, we're going to be talking about, it's a series, so it's going to be the same series I've been doing, how I run my business in an aligned way, using my human design. You guys already know what it is, you already know what it is. So, in this live, I'm actually going to be talking about my energy centers, which I was going to do before, but I was very tired, so I did my profile instead. So if you missed any of the other videos in the series, you can just go to like my IGTVs and then click on the series, and then it'll have all of them in a row. So that's that. If you want to go back and watch them, or if you haven't seen them, yada yada yada. So this video is going to be about my energy centers. However, I do want to remind everyone that I do have a free Facebook group. I have a free Facebook group called Spiritual Women Discover Your Divinity. Why is my brightness going down? Yes, and it is literally my cancel. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Everything's on. What is happening? I don't know. Sorry. My free Facebook group, Spiritual Women Discover Your Divinity, and in this group I talk about tarot, astrology, human design, shadow work, manifestation, literally all the things that I'm super interested in and want to share with the world. I talk about in this Facebook group. It's a lot more extensive than my Instagram and even my YouTube channel, which is mainly human design. So if you are interested in other modalities of, spirituality or starting a spiritual journey, that is definitely the place where you want to be. So the link is in my Instagram bio. So feel free to join. I love people. So like if you're interested, please come join us. Come spend some time, It's great. I love it. So I go live almost every day. Whenever I go live on Instagram, I go live in Facebook. So I'm doing a lot of lives. So there's a lot of content already, and I just started it like last week. So if you're interested, links in my bio, and I can't wait to have you in the group with me. Okay, so I'm just gonna jump right into the video. So first of all, if you don't know, in human design there are 9 energy centers, and depending on which centers are defined and undefined, that determines what your energy type is. So I'm a manifesting generator, and where your defined centers are where you push out energy, and then your open centers or your undefined centers are where you receive energy from other people and from the universe. So they, depending on which centers are defined and which centers are undefined, you have a very unique energetic signature that you're kind of always rolling through, every single day of your life. So energy centers are a pretty big thing when it comes to me and my business specifically, and we're going to go through that now. So I have a defined throat center, and because I have a defined throat center, that means that I am meant to speak my truth without a whole lot of editing. I have the ability to just kind of speak up for myself without, a whole lot of editing or like a whole lot of planning. I'm meant to more, speak off the cuff, which is why when I come onto these live streams, I don't have a script. I just kind of write down, like I have this page in my notebook. Let me show you. And it's things I want to share. And this is where I write down, what are things that I would want to talk about on, I think this is specifically for Instagram. So what do I want to talk about on Instagram? And I just write down, oh, that'd be nice to talk about. Oh, that'd be nice to talk about. Like not even like a specific day, just things that I would eventually like to cover on my Instagram, like live streams or stories or whatever. And I pick one, and I'm just like, okay, that's what we're gonna talk about today. But I don't write a script. I don't do a whole lot of planning. I just kind of turn it on, and whatever comes out, comes out. Because I noticed, and I was doing this before with my YouTube channel, and it really threw me off. I would pick a topic, and I would plan it out, and I would, write a script and all these things. And if you go back to my earlier videos, if you go back to my earlier YouTube videos, I'm like, oh, I have my notes on this side. So I don't do that anymore. I do not do that anymore. I just come on here and I just speak, and the words just flow out of me, and it's been working really well so far. I've noticed since I've started just allowing myself the space to just speak unapologetically in the moment, things just get so much easier for me. So that is my defined throat in action in my business. And moving on to my crown center, I have an undefined crown center, which in my business means what is on my laptop. There's like a sticky substance on my laptop, which is my undefined crown center means that my creative process involves me getting inspiration from other people. Like, for me to feel inspired, I need to have external input, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. This could be podcasts, this could be other people's content, other people's Instagrams, YouTube videos. Like, watching and consuming content from other people inspires me and then enables me to go on and talk about the things that I want to talk about. And like I said before, this was a part of my big breakthrough, because I started to understand and realize that being able to explore and consume other people's content is so important to me, because I love to learn. So this is kind of twofold for me. I get to learn and I get to get inspired by other people, how they view things, how they see the world, how they, like, if I talk about a subject one way and they talk about it in a completely different way, then I'm inspired to, oh my god, that's amazing. Like, and then I get to go on and talk about, like, oh, this is, I learned this today, and da 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 da. My undefined crown center really, really enjoys external input from things that I am interested in. It also means that I don't need to get a whole lot of clarity on things before going out and doing it. Like, it's very overwhelming to me to have to know every single piece of something before I go off and do it. And this comes from my crown center. This is also kind of like my defined throat, which I've mentioned earlier, and also my 3 line, which I mentioned in my previous live. I learn by experimentation. I learn by jumping in, diving in head first, and seeing what happens. So that all kind of works together in that I just get to decide that I'm going to do something and just go into doing it without doing a whole lot of planning. And that really, really, really works for me in terms of like my design and in terms of my business. So that is that. Moving on to my root center. My root center is also undefined, which means I don't do well with deadlines. I don't do well with like external pressure, like people, like especially other people. Like if other people are like, kind of pressuring me to do something, I rebel. I don't like it at all. It does not work for me. Deadlines do not work for me. I won't allow myself to get stressed out, but it feels very stressful for me if I'm not consciously being aware of it. So I don't put deadlines on myself. I don't say, oh, I have to get this done by this day. Like, no, I don't do that. I don't, because it's not motivating for me. It does not work for me. It just makes me want to not do anything at all. So when it comes to like, getting things done at a specific time, I kind of just take it day by day. Like, I'll ask myself, does this feel exciting to work on today? I'm like, no, it doesn't. Then I won't work on it. And I base my deadlines off of my energy. If I feel like something is exciting to work on, then I will work on it, and then that will determine, okay, well, I have this thing that I want to do. Does it feel exciting for me to work on today? No. Next day, does it feel exciting for me to work on today? No. Next day, does it feel exciting for me to work on today? Yes. Get it all done. Just get it all done today, because we don't know when we'll want to work on it again, and if we want to do this, then it needs to be done. So then like if I get it all done that day, I'm like, okay, well, we can just roll this out in the next week because now it's done. But I don't use deadlines as a way to motivate myself, because for me it just does not work. So, and that's another reason why 9-to-5 jobs just are not my jam, because the external pressure is not. It makes me want to nap. It does not make me want to be productive. So there's that. So moving on to my Ajna center, I have an undefined Ajna center, which I don't, because my Ajna center is undefined, it just means that I see the world more abstractly, and I don't really take like I don't take like hard stances on things. So I think of my Ajna center, and where this comes up the most is with my one-to-one clients and with like my marketing. I won't really give like my one like hard stance, like that's it, like no. I'll give you options. I'll give you like other ways of, like if I say something and it doesn't resonate with you, I'll be like, well, you can look at it this way, you can go at it this way, you can look at it this way. And it's like, oh yeah, that makes more sense for me. That's kind of how I work. Because I'm able to see things more abstractly, I'm able to give more options to my clients when we're working together. Because, for me, I don't need to have, these hard and fast opinions and like that's it. Like, no, I kind of get to flow, in and out through all of my different perceptions, all of my different viewpoints, and then kind of go from there. I don't need to be like this, like all the time. And for marketing specifically, I've had a lot of business coaches who will tell me that I should have like, one message that is polarizing and like that's it. And like for me, that's why my message was so hard to come up with, because I'm like, I don't, like it feels weird working in that way. Like I'm like one message, that's it. And that's like, no, for me, my message is very abstract because that's kind of how I see the things that I work with, like spirituality, tarot, astrology. Sure, there are people who could, have one message regarding all of these things and that's fine for them. But for me, it's harder for me to operate under that kind of umbrella because I need this freedom to be able to flow in between things. And this also comes from my energy type being a manifesting generator. So that is my Ajna center. So let's go into my spleen. Yeah. Let's go into my spleen. So with my defined spleen center, I have a very reliable intuitive voice, which means that I act very spontaneously. This comes back to not really needing a whole thought out plan, because sometimes the plan, even if I did have one, I might not even stick to it. In the moment, I do what feels good. I share what feels good. I create whatever programs feels right for me at that moment. I sell whatever feels right for me to sell. Like even if I'm a launch for another program, I'm gonna be like, oh, you know what? I think instead of promoting this program, I'm gonna promote my Facebook group, or I'm gonna promote my freebie. So I just kind of do whatever my intuition tells me that feels right for me to do in the moment, rather than having like a hard and fast plan for things. And this was especially important when it came to my content strategy. I always felt like I had to have like a planned out content. I had to know what I'm posting this day and this day and this day, and have everything planned out beforehand and like batching and all that. It does not work for me. It just does not work, because in the moment, if I don't feel like posting that, it's gonna take every single ounce of energy that I have to force myself to go and do it, because that's how I planned it. So I don't even do that anymore. I don't plan anything out. I pick something off of this list in the morning. Like I do all of my content planning in the morning, and I ask myself, what do I want to share today? What does anything on this list sound good? If not, I go out and I get inspired, and then I share whatever inspires me for that day. There's no real like batch planning for me in my business anymore, because it's not aligned for me. And I had to come to terms with that, because I don't really get that a lot from like business coaches. Like, no, you need to plan it out. It doesn't work. So I've let that go, and things have been going great. Like I've been so consistent with my content lately because I'm just so excited to talk about the things that I want to fucking talk about. So that's that. That's my spleen. Let's go on to my my undefined solar plexus. Because my solar plexus center is undefined, it makes me very empathic. I pick up on other people's emotions and I kind of amplify those. So I found this is really, really useful when I am working with clients, especially when we're working through like shadow work, or if we're working through some kind of mindset work and we're hitting, we're hitting trauma, or we're hitting some tough spots. It's really, really useful for me to be able to not only understand what they're feeling, but also feel what they're feeling, putting myself into their skin, oh gross, into their body, so to speak, and really feeling what it is that's coming up for them right now. And I think that makes me a much more intuitive coach, because I'm able to do that. Not to say that, you can't be an intuitive coach if you don't do that, or if you like, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying for me, it's very, very helpful because sometimes, especially when it comes to like spirituality or mindset, people don't always say what they're thinking. They'll kind of hold things back, especially if you don't have that relationship or that rapport built up yet. But I'm able to kind of feel into whatever the other person is feeling, and it's been great. Like, I really, really enjoy. That's why I like working with so many different people, because I get to experience so many different ranges of emotions and so many different situations that I would probably never experience if I weren't in this line of work. So that's my solar plexus center, my undefined solar plexus center. So now let's talk about my undefined heart center. Because I have an undefined heart center, I have very inconsistent willpower and motivation. I don't always want to work. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do this. However, I will say that has not happened since I've made so many shifts with like my design and my business. I've woken up every day pretty consistently and felt energized and ready and excited to actually work on my business. So my undefined heart center hasn't actually come into play yet, because I've been so excited to work on my business and to do the things now that I'm doing them in an aligned way. So even though my motivation and my willpower isn't always consistent when it comes to other things, because there are some things in my life right now that I'm just like, I don't know if I'm gonna do this. I would much rather work on my business right now. So in terms of my business, my willpower and my motivation has been very, very consistent because of all the shifts that I have started to implement within the last few weeks. So I will say that. But other things in my life, oh, that willpower is gone. Like it's non-existent. Okay. We have 2 more centers left. So my defined sacral center. My defined sacral center is what makes me a manifesting generator. And what this means for my business is that I can tell pretty quickly, almost instantaneously, if I want to do something or not. Like, I don't really have to think about it. Like, if something comes into my awareness and I'm like, yep, I want to do that, that is a very, very quick response. Like, yes, I want to do that, or no, I don't want to do that. Which is why I think it's so much better for me and so much more aligned for me to make all of my decisions the day of. Like, when I wake up, do I want to share this? Nope. Don't want to share this? Nope. Don't want to share this? Yep, that's the one. Okay, cool. Do I want to watch this YouTube video? All right, let's go. Like, having that quick response from my sacral center telling me that's something we want to do, that's something that's exciting, allows me to kind of not have to plan so much ahead, because I know once something comes into my awareness, it's going to be a very quick yes or no if that's what I want to do. So that's been going really great, is just kind of asking myself, is this exciting? If it's not, then we drop it. If it is, then we go for it. Which again goes back to the whole not really needing a plan type thing. We're just kind of going off the cuff here. And like I said, that works for me. That doesn't mean that's gonna be how everything works for you. Like, I have a friend who is a generator who likes having a plan and having everything set out, and she does batch days and all these different things. I'm like, that's great, like, that's amazing for you, but it drives me up the wall, so I'm not gonna do that. But yes, specifically with my sacral center, I know very, very quickly if I want to do something or not, and if something is exciting for me or not. If it's not exciting for me, this is not doing it. It's not doing it. Yes. So moving on to my last center, which is my G center, which is undefined. I am very, 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 very adaptable to my environment, and depending on who I'm around, depending on what I'm talking about, I bring out different parts of myself in different situations. Like, if you see me like with my family, I respond differently than when I'm with my friend group, and I might respond differently in my friend group than I would with my sisters, or with, you know, other, like, I'm basically a chameleon. And it's not that I'm not being authentic to myself, that is me being authentic to myself. I have so many different, like, parts of myself, and they just come out whenever they want to come out. I don't police it. I don't, like, force myself to be one specific person in every situation. No, that would be being inauthentic. Part of being who I am is being these different people whenever the situation, like, whenever I feel like being that person, that's who I am. And as paradoxical as it sounds, that is authenticity for me, because I don't really have to worry about having a set identity or a set way that I'm meant to show up in every single situation. I get to just be who I am and flow in between these different parts of myself in whatever situation that I'm in, which is, again, kind of goes back to the not really needing a plan. Like, some days I might talk about something, I might talk about something else, and the way that I talk about this thing might be different than the way that I talk about this thing. You know, none of my lives are really like the same. Like, I feel like you can see different parts of me in every single live stream that I do. Like, I never show up and I'm just exactly the same person. Like, no, I'm goofy and I have my quirks, and of course I'm loud, you know. But like, I feel like with every single live stream, you get a little bit of a different taste of who I am. And that's part of having an undefined G center. You get to just be all of these different characters and all of these different parts, and it's okay. That is you being authentic, and you don't have to, well, me, it's getting really existential. And once I allowed myself to just flow between all these different parts of myself and not be one person or be one way all the time, it opened up like this like just a space of just freedom and just expansion, and it's wonderful. It's amazing. So a lot of embracing my energy type, a lot of embracing my energy centers in terms of my business was just allowing for myself to decide in the moment what I want to share, who I want to be, and how I want to share it. Like, that's it. And really stop forcing myself to have a plan, basically, because I don't really need one. I don't need one to be consistent, because when I allow myself to just exist and be who I am, the consistency shows up for itself. I don't have to force it, because I'm so excited to just be my freaking self. And that's what I've discovered, and it's been amazing. So if you have never, if you don't even know what human design is, if you've never heard a reading, if you're starting a business, I highly, highly recommend you have, even if it's like a small reading. Like, you don't have to read it from me. There's plenty of human design readers. If I'm not your cup of tea, I'm not your cup of tea, girl. You do not have to get a reading with me if you don't want to. But I do recommend getting a reading, because you learn so much about yourself, and it's all useful. It can all be applied to your business. It can all be applied to your relationships, to your success, to your mindset, to anything. And the shifts that I've made over the past week, like the past few weeks, is phenomenal. And it's like not easy. So those are my energy centers. This video is way longer than I thought it was going to be. But I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in my